Someone plants a tiny seed that one day grows into a tree. One stroke of paint and the art becomes 1,000 words when the picture's done.
So I think I'll have a little prayer that this works okay. Lord, this is not about me. This is about what you did in my life. This is about this book being a praise to you and a thank you to you. Lord, there are people here who need to hear something, and I ask you to put the right words in my mouth that they hear that something tonight. And I just ask you to send down your Holy Spirit to be with us. This book is billed as her personal Ruth story. And I just wanted to say that Ruth, when I was a practicing Jew, Ruth was my Hebrew name. And I've always liked Ruth's story. I like her loyalty. I like how she declares her faith. But more than this, my story starts in Israel, where Jesus claimed me in Israel. And then I am blessed by God with a husband of faith, and he is my Boaz. And so my story very much echoes Ruth's story. And what is more, I was actually in Israel. One of the things I wanted to do in Israel, I was looking for purpose and meaning in my life when I went to Israel. I had a vision of a field of snow when, as a result of all my illness, my first marriage fell apart. And I didn't know what the future was going to be, and I asked to be shown, I think in a somewhat New Agey type way, asked to be shown what my future was. And I had a vision of this pristine field of snow and rimmed by trees, and it was a bit scary. I could go into a drift and fall into a snowdrift, but also I could make some footprints, and that was exciting. And I never for a minute imagined that it was going to be real, that was actually literally my destiny. I think that is also rather a lovely proof that Jesus is with us before we know that he's with us. So he was showing me things before I acknowledged him. It began in Jerusalem, and my friend Terry and I, we'd looked all around Israel. We were both looking for something meaning, purpose. And I had an experience that I would now recognize as being a Holy Spirit experience in that church. And, the minute we got in there, my friend Terry, she began snapping pictures. It was a warm place and the music was playing, and immediately I felt the warm welcome. And she's snapping pictures, and I'm horrified. You don't do that in the synagogue. And she's going, "This is my brother Butch. This is my brother Butch. He'd love it here." All that could be seen was a swathe of buttery gold, with a thick ridge running through the centre like the vein of a feather close up. The next shot was like a progression from the first. It had the same buttery gold background, only now what looked like tongues of golden flame danced across it. She leaned over and toggled the shots. "See, the wings are closed here, and here they're open." It was as if the vein was bunched up stage curtains that opened in the second picture to reveal the flames. Puzzled, I looked around me for some point of connection between the pictures and our surroundings, but nothing looked even remotely similar to what I was looking at. Terry wanted to pursue those pictures. I would have left it, but she wanted to pursue them. And so she went and found a Messianic rabbi, a rabbi who believed in Jesus. And he prophesied over her. He said something big was coming. And I was back at the hotel waiting with the baggage. She'd sent me back there because I was so huffy and sulky. I believed he had called me. I believed he loved me. In just a few months, skepticism and mistrust had given way to acceptance that God could and would tap me on the shoulder, frequently and by any means. I treasured the connection. I came to Terry's house and I stayed with Terry, and we had a wonderful time of sharing. We met many of her friends, and we had a spirit-filled time together when it was the two of us or when we were with her friends. I don't want to read everything. More importantly, these pictures had led Terry, who had pursued their meaning, to a rug woven before we were born, on which the two of us figured pursuing deer and rabbits. I recounted how I had returned home from Israel, still struggling and kicking, so to speak, and arguing that Jesus was no greater than Gandhi. In the end, however, I no longer disputed that he was the Messiah, and I welcomed him into my heart. This generated a sigh of pleasure, followed by a round of applause. I spoke of my new relationship of trust with God as my Father, and how it had made me calmer, pleasanter, more accepting person, who could forgive my ex and move on. Beginning at King of Kings, I had signed up for a mission, the detail of which was still to be revealed to me, but which I knew would bring me fulfillment. I trusted God to show me my direction in his good time. It was the rug that brought me here, I ended. The rug will point the way. And so, I pursued him. Just like Ruth did. I went up to the threshing floor and I pursued him, and he came around. And oh yes, that's the day we met. Many people in England were very happy about it, particularly my family. They thought I was being reckless. They weren't very happy about my change of faith. They definitely thought I was committing treason with that. And, on the back of that, here I was talking about being in love with a Canadian who he wasn't really interested in me. We had ended up talking about whether there can be free will when God has a plan for each of us. I believe it's our call whether or not we grasp that plan, I told him. Meeting you was an opportunity that might have been lost if I hadn't pursued it. But I was meant to love you. God made us in his image to love one another, he replied. It was the most beautiful thing anyone had ever said to me. My hand closed over the gift of perfect beauty in my palm. The feather heartened me, for it seemed to confirm, you're doing okay down there. Keep up the good work. With all the opposition surrounding me, that felt very special.
All things are possible with you. I will believe that dreams come true. When I get on my knees, by faith I receive. All things are possible with you.